Hi guys, welcome to another video. We are continuing on with functions, but this time we are finding the function rule from a table, or finding the equation from a table. There is a method called stack, subtract, and build a house, which basically you are subtracting your two y points, the second y point minus your first y point, and your two x points, your second x point minus your first x point, and then you are going to stack them y over x to get something known as m, or your slope, or basically just what's being multiplied by x. So you can see that we've got our table here, and so here is my second y point. I always start with it first. My x values are the squares, and my y values are the triangles. It's really hard for me to write small, so I apologize about this, but I'm going to go ahead and put my 5 in my square, that was terrible, and my 10 in my triangle. Then I go ahead and do the second y point, so I'm going to do 2 in my square and 4 in my triangle. So then I'm going to subtract 10 minus 4 is 6, and 5 minus 2 is 3. Now I build a house. I always put the y value over the x, or the triangle over the square to build a house. So I'm going to have 6 over 3. I need to simplify 6 over 3. What does 6/3 simplify to? 1/2. The equation is in the form of y equals m, which is the change in my points, that's the house that we build, times x. And then sometimes you have to add or subtract something to get your final value, to get your actual y. So let's try this. So this ends up being y equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2, times x. So that means we're going to multiply 2 times our x value. Let's try it for our first point. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. Yeah, it works. So now let's try it for our last value that we didn't use in the actual math work here. So I'm going to do y equals 2, and then instead of this x here, I'm going to put the 7 in. Well, y equals 2 times 7 is 14. Oh, that just cleared on me. 14, it actually worked, 14. I did not mean to clear that. Okay, so let's try another problem. Okay, so we're ready to do another problem. All right, so this is the exact same process, but sometimes when you plug in your x and you multiply, you still have to add or subtract something to make the entire function work. So again, we're going to start with our second point, which is 5, 11. I'm going to put 5 here, 11 here. Then I'm going to do my first point, 4 and 9. 11 minus 9 is 2, and 5 minus 4 is 1. So this is going to be 2 over 1, which simplifies to 2. So it's going to be y equals 2 times some x value. 4 times 2 is actually, 4 times 2 is actually 8. So I'm going to have to add 1 to get 9 plus 1. All right, and so let's see if it works with the second point. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Yeah. All right, let's try plugging it in for a third point, which we didn't use in our math. So it's going to be y equals 2 times x, which in this case is 7, plus 1. Y equals 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. 15, it worked. All right, let's try another. Okay, here we go. Let's try this one. So I'm going to look at my second point of 6 and 18 and go ahead and put 6 and 18 here. We're stacking. Let's do 4 and 12 next. 4 and 12. And then we're going to subtract. 18 minus 12 is 6, and 6 minus 4 is 2. I'm going to go ahead and build a house, 6 over 2. So 6 over 2 is actually simplifying to 3. So it's going to be y equals 3x. Now, we have to ask ourselves, will this give us 12 if I plug in a 4 for x? So 3 times 4 is 12, yes. So I do not need to add or subtract anything. Let's try it with our last point here. I'm going to do y equals 3 times some x value, which in this case is 7. And then 3 times 7 is 21. Yes, it's 21. All right, let's try another. Okay, so we are now going to take a look at this table, and I'm going to use my second point of 5, 4. 5, I really have trouble with 5s. 4, and then 1, 0, 1, 0. 4 minus 0 is 4, and 5 minus 1 is 4. So I get 4 over 4, which simplifies to 1, so it's y equals 1x. 1 times 1, so 1 times an x value of 1 is 1, but we need to get 0, so I'm going to subtract 1. Can you see that there? I'm going to subtract 1. All right, so let's try it with 5 and 4. 1 times 5 is 5, minus 1 is 4. It works. Now let's try it with our last value. Y equals 1 times x value of 6 minus 1. So y equals 1 times 6 is 6, minus 1 is 5. We got 5. It works. All right. I still want to do more. Okay, so we now have this table, and I'm going to use this 4 and 11, and I'm going to use the 2 and 5. All right, and so I'm doing 11 minus 5, which is 6, and 4 minus 2, which is 2. So I'm going to get 6 over 2, which simplifies to 3. So it's going to be y equals 3x. Well, let's try it. 3 times 2 is 6, but I need 5. I'm going to subtract 1. Okay, let's try it with the second point. 3 times 4 is 12, minus 1 is 11. Yep. Okay, let's try it with the very last one. Y equals 3 times 5 minus 1. Y equals 3 times 5 is 15, minus 1 is 14. Look, it worked. All right, one more. Let's try one more. Okay, let's try this last one here. So I'm going to start with the second point of 10, 14. 10 goes in the box, 14 goes in the triangle. Then I'm going to do 3 and 7. So 14 minus 7 is 7. And I'm trying to read my own writing. 10 minus 3 is 7. Oh, interesting. All right, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So then I'm going to get 7 over 7. Well, that simplifies to 1. So this is going to be y equals 1x. Well, 3 times 1, or 1 times 3 is not 7. 1 times 3 is 3, so I need to add 4 more. Let's try it with the second point. 1 times 10 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Yeah, let's try it with the last point here. So we're going to plug in the 11. Y equals 1 times 11 plus 4. Y equals, well, 1 times 11 is 11, plus 4 is 15. Hey, look, 15. It is correct. Okay, so you can email me or message me on Schoology or Remind and let me know if you have questions. Hopefully this helps you find the function rules. Thanks, guys. Stay healthy.